really makes you sore too. You know, it's like we can run like 20 miles and bounce back and not be beat up, but you get in the
10
weight room.
squats with a medicine ball,
Exactly.
all of a sudden I'm debilitated.
Yeah, so like my legs are rocked today, so I was feeling it. But it was fun. It's a good time. And the weather was like, I think it was raining a little bit at the start and then just totally cleared up and it was good. So it was fun.
So the other guys stayed together, or how'd they do it?
Yeah, they all stayed together and then I think they all handed off like right around together. I was like within eyesight of them, but yeah, I think Leo said, I forget. You have to talk to Leo and see what he's like. I wanted to make you guys hurt a little bit or something. Then so he was.
You know what you ran for? Was it 5 miles?
It was 4.2 or something. I don't know. I didn't get my split, but it's definitely faster than us. I didn't even have my flats, or I didn't even warm up or anything. I just like ran, you know. So I was like, whoa, wake up.
So originally, going back, I thought that the marathon, or there was a talk that you were going to maybe do the half marathon. So what was the decision to come back and do?
Well, last year I did the same relay, and so I kind of just wanted to do the same as last year because I had so much fun out here last year, and so I was with the same team, Texas Rangers, and just to kind of like do like a more like fun approach rather than like these guys are running super hard and getting after it. You know?
Dina's still.
Yeah, they're pounding away. So yeah, just to come out here and have fun and enjoy it. And like I said, I had so much fun last year. I kind of wanted to just do the same thing.
So the Olympic trials.
February.
Are you still shooting for that? I mean.
Yeah, still on schedule. Still training. So yeah, just doing that, and then also helping Sarah, which has been really fun, and excited about her fitness level. She's in like amazing shape right now. So it's been fun I've been on the bike for some of her workouts, kind of coaching her through it. And it's been.
But do you
really
think you'll be ready to compete, or do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm training as best I can and give it a good run. So.
And you've had sort of, I don't know, medical problems or testosterone stuff.
Yeah.
When was your last good race? Probably been a couple of years.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've really hit it well. Yeah. So yeah, I've definitely had my struggles the last 4 years, but it's part of life. And I remember before the last Olympic trials, I also was struggling. So you never know, you know. As a runner, like you go through, everyone who's run a long period of time can relate to the ups and downs of it, you know. So just you ride out those low times and just keep trying new things, keep figuring out what your body needs and how it's going to respond to certain trainings, certain nutrition, all that stuff. So I've been doing my best to like remedy as much as I can and get myself feeling good again.
I was in San Antonio last weekend for that half, and Jerry Schumacher was talking about people's ceilings and at the trials.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, well, he wasn't talking about you, but like somebody like yourself, your ceiling's a lot higher. You don't have to be at your best to make the team. Does that sort of give you some
Definitely
hope?
Helps, you know, if you run 2:04 for the marathon and you need to run whatever 2:09, 2:08 to make the team, then that's a lot more doable than if your ceiling is 2:08. You know, so it gives you a little buffer room. You know, you don't have to be at 100%. You need to be at 98% or 99%. You know, so that does help. Yeah.
Will you do any races before the trials?
No, I'm just training.
What will your training be like between now and then?
Just kind of typical bread and butter stuff, you know. Hard long runs, long tempos, and like 15-mile tempos is kind of like my biggest indicator workout. So that will kind of hold true.
You said 10-mile tempo?
15
mile.
Yeah.
And are you able to go out and do like the volume you want right now?
Yeah, my volume's definitely a lot less. I'm not running nearly as much as usual, but actually that was the same before 2012 trials with Meb, Abdi, and I. We were talking afterwards. We were talking about mileage and stuff. Like all of us were probably like under 100 miles a week, but the quality workouts are still there. So especially like for myself, kind of like dealing with some of the hormonal and energy issues, like I got to choose my battles, and so I try and hit the really big workouts and then do a lot less on the easier days between kind of help recovery.
So I was looking at your Twitter, and I knew you adopted the family and stuff, but I mean, you've become a dad in the last year. First of all, that's amazing. I mean, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
But I started thinking about it, like, one, like, did your kids speak English when they came over here at all? Or maybe just go back and sort of, I don't even know where to start, but it's just...
Yeah, it's been a really fun ride. I mean, that's why we were in Ethiopia so much over the last year, was to be there with them, because they're in an orphanage, and they're in a great orphanage, but think about it, if you're in a house and you never got to leave the house they're in an orphanage for 3 years, and like how that affect you is like, they were basically like in prison, not being able to be active, not to feel the grass underneath their feet, you know, not to ever get to go out. It's crazy. So we wanted to be over there a lot last year to also get to know them on their turf a little bit, and also to help begin to teach them English. And they did have a teacher at their orphanage that would come for like an hour, like 4 or 5 days a week. But no, their English was pretty limited. But it's amazing to watch them grow. Like, I'll go on this trip for a couple days, and I'll go back home, and I can notice a difference in their English. Like, it's
So how,
fast.
whose idea, how did this come about, just the whole adoption thing in general?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, adoption was never on my grid. Like, I always wanted to have my own kids. I didn't really understand why adopt, you know, when you can have kids. And then it wasn't until our first date, Sarah and I's first date at Stanford, our freshman year, that she brought up, she's like, I always kind of wanted to adopt, and just kind of came up organically. We weren't like talking serious stuff, but I was like, wow, that's really interesting, you know. I just kind of like put that in the back of my mind and started kind of mulling over it, like, wow, like I wonder why, you know. It kind of planted that seed a little bit. And then, you know, 4 years later we get married, and we were talking about more about like what we want to do and stuff. And then 2.5 years ago, we're like, okay, we feel ready to like start moving forward with adoption. And one thing that's nice about adoption is Sarah doesn't have to go through the whole pregnancy and being a professional runner and losing, you know, a year of her career or whatnot. And then, so we decided, well, we have this like real love for Ethiopia, for the culture, the people, the country. Excuse me. And there's a real like orphan crisis in Ethiopia. So we're like, let's adopt one girl from Ethiopia. Infant girl. That's what our original plan was. Then we're over there training in Ethiopia. We go visit an orphanage, and what we saw was like there's tons of older kids who are waiting for families. There's no one like stepping up to adopt these older kids. Whereas the infants, there's a line out the window. You have to wait like years for infants. And like the big need is for older children adoption. And when I met the kids, I was like, I'd take any one of these kids home in a second. Like, these are amazing kids, you know. When you get face to face with the kids, like, your heart just melts for them. So that's when we're like, well, let's adopt an older child. And then like we start to go through that process and realize that really like the big need is for sibling groups, because there's less people who are willing to take in sibling groups. And then these 4 girls, we just found them through a friend on Facebook or something like that, got their picture last Christmas time, and my heart just started burning for them. I just felt like God put love in my heart for them, and I was like, there's everyone telling me not to do this, never been a parent before, don't know what I'm doing, and like there's a lot of things that didn't make sense about it, but I felt God's love in my heart for them. And these kids, like, no one was stepping up to adopt them. They were actually talking about splitting them. And I was like, growing up in a family of 5, I was like, I couldn't imagine being separated from my siblings at that age. That'd be insane. And so we're like, I've never made fear-based decisions my entire career, my entire life. I built my career on that. I'm not afraid to go out with the leaders and try and run with the best guys in the world. And so it's the same thing when it comes to like family and adoption and tackling poverty. I was like, I'm just gonna jump in with both feet and not be afraid. And I'm not afraid because I know I'm gonna fail, and I'm okay with that. You know, it's like I've already failed as a dad, and I'm gonna fail in the future, but I'm gonna learn and I'm gonna grow and I'm trying to get better at this. And so we decided to adopt them at that time, and went over to Ethiopia, and we got to know them on their turf at the orphanage without telling them we wanted to adopt them. And something that's really important to us is to give them the choice to join our family. Because through this whole process, they've had stuff happening to them. They've had zero choice in this whole matter. You know, like they didn't choose to have the crazy stuff that happened in their life happen to them. They didn't choose to be in an orphanage. They didn't choose to lose their parents. It just happened. And I didn't want them to feel like they had to come with us. So we let them get to know us for a week or so, and then we told them we wanted to adopt them, and then we invited them into our family. And of course they said yes. I mean, they were super stoked, and we had really gelled well with them during those couple of weeks that we got to just know them as friends. And it was one of the happiest days of my life, I think, when we told them that we wanted to adopt them, and they just lost it. Like, they were crying and screaming, just going crazy. Like, our hearts were just like melting. It was amazing.
So they knew a little English at this point, or is this all through a translator?
Mostly through translator. And we had been...
I was going to say, how's your...
Yeah, we had been studying Amharic a lot. But Amharic is super hard to learn. There's like no Rosetta Stone Amharic, like, no like
How do
Google
you even
Translate.
say it? How do you spell the language?
Amharic. So Amharic.
Okay, spell A-M-A-A.
Amharic.
No Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, yeah, no. I
A-C.
was like, man, I wish Google Translate had Amharic. It'd
Not
help
even
so
Google
much.
Translate,
No,
wow.
no. So like, I was like watching YouTube videos and like I have an app on my phone and doing whatever I could to learn as much of the language as I can. But it's really tricky. It's like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it can be a great experience, but you're not a parent, and then you have 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your life is radically different, right?
Yeah.
How has it
I
impacted?
mean, you act like, oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the good thing is having never been a parent before. I don't know what it's like to only have 1 kid or 2 kids. Like all I know is having 4 kids. You know, so my normal is either not being a parent or being a parent of 4 now. You know, in the last
Okay,
2
there's
months.
Logan about to win there.
So, are they in school? And
Yeah, they've been in school. We put them in school about 2 weeks after they got back, just because we knew like learning the language is numero uno priority. So yeah, we put them in school right away, and for them it's a privilege to go to school. Like they've never had that privilege before, so.
so they have to go like a couple grades behind what they would be in.
Yeah, exactly. We have them all at a small Christian school, and they're all at the same school together, which is nice. And we actually paired them with another group of siblings that had also been adopted from Ethiopia like 3 years prior, who've actually already forgotten their Amharic. So that family's actually glad to have our family there, because then they can reteach them Amharic, and then they obviously are helping our girls with English and all that. So.
How much, for lack of a better word, how much counseling did you get on all of this? I mean, you had to be, that's not, okay, I'm going to do this. I mean, there had to be some people who set you guys down and said, we're going to do,
Yeah.
here's how, kind of how the process works and all that, going to the schools and picking this family. Like, was that your idea to match them up with this other Ethiopian
Yeah,
children?
yeah, it kind of was. Like we got to know so many adopted parents, yeah, and families who adopted in Ethiopia. Like we know like almost every single like adopted, parents in our community, because we've gotten together, had lunch, coffee with so many people, picking their brains about the process, because you do gotta learn as much as you can.
So
when
all
you're
this
going
starts,
through
you're talking now like even before
way
you
before.
adopted them and months
Yeah.
beforehand.
Oh
and
yeah,
all that.
years before.
Okay.
The whole process, the adoption process is insane. Like, it's way different than having biological children, in the fact that you have to like aggressively go after this. Like it's super hard, and I know people do that where they're doing in vitro and it's like hard for them to get pregnant or whatever. But like, I mean, I filled out like stacks and stacks of paperwork, like you would not believe, like doctor's appointments, blood tests, like fingerprinting, like you would not believe.
Yeah, my best friend adopted twins, and he said you would not believe what a nightmare this is.
Insane,
Yeah.
insane. And it's not over. It's like now we have to like re-adopt them back in the U.S.
Oh, in
once
America.
they're home. Yeah, so the paperwork is unreal, but it's cool because it's like you got to really want it, and you're aggressively going after this, and that's not everyone's experience with parenthood. So when you do finally have them home, you're like, wow, like this is like a big goal that I was going after.
When did they arrive here?
October 2nd and 3rd. So I flew back with our oldest because her visa got delayed by a day, and then Sarah came back with our 3 youngest the day before that.
So what do the kids think of
October what? Wait,
planes in
October what?
America?
2nd and 3rd. Yeah.
Okay, and okay. Well,
I know, I
what's
mean-
the age range? Just real quick.
5, 9, 13, and 15. Yeah, quite a
And
spread.
all girls, right?
All girls. Yeah.
Sorry.
And did their parents die, or do you know the story of their parents?
Yeah, so we don't want to get too much into their story,
Okay.
just because it's kind of theirs to tell, So we're going to kind of let that come from them when and if they want to kind of share that stuff. But obviously, their parents are no longer able to care for them. So yeah, they've been through quite a lot.
Are the kids sort of amazed by America, excited, perplexed? What's
Been
their?
a combination of everything, Like there's been so many fun firsts. Like even we were down at the Del Coronado. They went down to watch Foot Locker, and I was doing an appearance there. Sarah was, so it was a cool experience. It was cool because like a girl from either Ethiopia or Eritrea won the race too. So they were all stoked on that. But when we were down there, like my 13-year-old, she's like, I look over and she's like playing, those sand things for putting out cigarettes. She's like playing with it with her hands, and she had no idea what it was. She'd never seen it before, She thought it was like some like thing, and I told her, I was like, Mia, this one, like for this, and she's like, ah. So there's lots of fun firsts like that. But at the same time, like they got exposed to a lot of American culture through TV, because they did have TV at their orphanage, which was good and bad because it did expose them to a lot, kind of warmed them up
Right.
to a lot of things, so it hasn't been a complete shock for them. At the same time, we've had to like really wean them off of TV because they were just watching it like constantly in Ethiopia. But it also helps with like learning English, like we
Right.
watch a lot of, well, not a lot, but we do watch English movies and stuff, and it helps them kind of learn the language a little bit. So
Sounds like you know what you're doing with parenting. Because I
Well-
think too many people just, here's an iPad, stare at it. So
What's,
Yeah.
what's the impact been on in terms of adjusting training schedules
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just lifestyle?
Yeah, it's been a lot of like trading off, like divide and conquer for Sarah and I.
I didn't even know it
See,
well.
Yeah, did you
he's
guys used to go
already
train
picked
together
up
and now you can't?
The strategy.
because someone needs to be home with the kids, or
On the weekends, we don't train together, or we get a sitter to come and then we can train together, which we've done that before too. But actually during the weekday when they're in school, it's pretty normal.
All right.
Like I
Yeah.
drive the kids to school, I drop them off, then we go do our morning training together, and then we do our afternoon training before we pick them up. And so basically like our evenings look a lot different. Instead of like watching movies and doing whatever, we're like doing homework with them. But school has kept it kind of a lot easier for us
Yeah,
too,
nice
in terms
routine.
of our training. Yeah, so it's worked out well that way. But the weekends are a little bit more.
did the kids know anything about running?
They know of running, that's like a big part of their culture and stuff. But no, a lot of this is pretty new for them. They did know who some of the big like Ethiopian runners were, like they were familiar with them, but they haven't been exposed to a lot of that running culture because they came from a very rural area, didn't have TV growing up. So everything they've learned has been in the orphanage via TV. So no, they haven't seen a lot.
What are they really adapting to? I mean, is there an activity that they really like, or is it too early to tell, or is there something that they seem to be enjoying a lot? or-
Yeah, they're kind of trying out a lot of new stuff right now. I'm trying to teach them how to swim. That's like numero uno priority in terms of like physical things because we have a pool, and so I'm a little, I want them to feel sufficient in a pool. So they're playing around with stuff like that, riding a bike. Taught them how to ride bikes already.
Really?
2 of them, 2 out of the 4.
The younger ones?
One of the younger and then our 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Where are you living these days?
We're in Redding, California. Yeah, so they're in school there and everything.
You can't go to no Mammoth or anything this time, right?
Now, we could go to Flagstaff if we wanted to, but we kind of wanted to stay at sea level. That's what I did before the last trials, and I feel like you can recover better at sea level. You can run faster. I think there's some real benefits, actually, to training at sea level. And then, we have a altitude tent, so you get kind of the benefits of sleeping high and training low. But yeah, the girls they're exploring right now. Took them like skating for the first time, and then they're gonna go ice skating around Christmas time. So we're introducing them to a lot of stuff, and I do want to get them active. So oftentimes I'll take them out after school, and we'll run/walk, just half an hour in the trails. Because like I said, they've been in orphanage for 3 years. Like they're not used to being active anymore, which is way different than when they were growing up in the rural area where they were like, they had livestock and stuff like that, and they're walking miles and miles to get water. And
So when
very
they were
active.
younger, they had this real rural lifestyle where
Exactly.
they were out all the
Yeah.
time, and then they got put in the orphanage.
Right.
How long were they in the orphanage?
3 years. Yeah, can you imagine?
No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so when they were in the orphanage, like you say, that was a pretty confining type of environment that they were in. Did they got to go out a little bit though, didn't they? No.
No.
They never.
They were just in the building all the time.
All the time.
What was there? Was it just they didn't want them to go out? Was there danger? Was there what was the?
Yeah, there is danger. There's that part of it, and then also just like not losing kids, and I don't know.
How many kids were in the orphanage?
In their orphanage, there's probably in their particular orphanage. We visited a few different ones, but in theirs, there's probably about 12 older kids and maybe like 20 infants. But I mean, they had all the girls in one tiny little bedroom, and they're on bunk beds, and they're like sharing these tiny little bunk beds. So like 2 on top, 2 on bottom.
Who ran the orphanage?
Thomas Center. Yeah, that's the name of the orphanage they're at. And it was a great orphanage. Like, we love the staff. They did a great job. But it's just very confining,
So like your family, kids that age, probably a lot of times no one adopts them, right?
Yeah,
And they just stay there till they're 18 or something, and they.
Well, yeah, you age out, which is, like one of the reasons why we had to act pretty quickly with our girls, because our oldest she was 14 at the time, she's 15 now. But I think they age out at 16, and then you're just
And
on
then
the streets.
what?
Wow.
Streets.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, that's what's different about Ethiopia than here. It's like here you don't walk around and see homeless street kids, you know?
Right.
Like in Ethiopia, they're everywhere.
Wow.
And my heart just breaks for these street kids. I mean, they're wearing tattered clothes, like shining shoes for a living, and they have nothing, and, like starving, you know? So I'll get my shoes shined, and I'll ask them, like, how much is it to get my shoes shined? And it's like 10 cents or something like that. And I'll give them $5, like in Ethiopian birr afterwards, and they freak out. It's like the
Right.
most money they've
What's
ever
wrong with
like
this?
Like a
seen.
year now. I'm upset for a year.
Yeah. So
Is it just a combination of bad circumstances they find themselves in that? I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
political stuff and wars and tribal conflicts and all. Does all that just come into play, or?
You know, in our case, it didn't. It was just like family conflict.
No,
stuff.
I mean, I just talking about the street kids. It's kids
Oh,
that
the
you
street
saw out
kids.
there. Is it just, or do you even know?
You know what? A big part of it has been the HIV thing that hit really hard in Ethiopia. Left just like a whole generation basically father and motherless. It's crazy.
Wow.
There's actually a really great book about that. I'm blanking on the name of it right now. But I think HIV, AIDS really hit them super strong. That was a big part
Has
of
their
it.
attitude? I'm really getting off the reservation here, but has their attitude changed toward that? Because I know in the past it was just like, you know, it was all rampant. But have they closed the window on that a little bit
I
anyway?
feel like they have. I don't know for sure. You know, I couldn't like speak from authority on that, but
Right.
I feel like it has gotten a little bit better over there. But the thing is, that so much of Ethiopia, the population is rural. You know, like you have Addis, like one
Right.
big major city, but mainly the population all rural. So you know, getting the
Get the information
education
to them,
out to
yeah,
them is
yeah.
super hard. Like I said, our kids, they would like run to the road whenever they heard a car drive by, just so they could like see a car. It's like they never saw cars. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
It's got to be overwhelming to them.